Hi everyone, happy to be back to do another Monday shop talk from my workshop. This is Odin Leather Goods. I'm Odin Clack. I am the owner and founder of Odin Leather Goods here in Coppell, Texas. And every Monday I have committed to doing a quick shop update here on YouTube through video. And my plan usually is to do a quick little update about what's going on in the shop, what I plan on doing this week, and also maybe answer a few questions from folks on Instagram where I have a pretty good following there. I love to answer questions from those folks. So we do the same thing this week. This is our third video in the series, and I plan on doing this indefinitely. Obviously, I may miss a week here and there, depending on what's going on. My wife and I have a vacation time coming up later in February, so I'll probably miss one or two in the month of February. But for the most part, every Monday, I'm going to try to do this. Now, I call it Monday Shop Talk. Doesn't always mean that I'm going to get this done on Monday. Today, however, is Monday, January 25th. It is about 8 p.m. on Monday, January 25th, but it is still Monday. Sometimes, depending on what's going on, it may happen on Tuesday, it may happen on Wednesday, but at some point in time during the week, I plan on posting one of these videos to YouTube every week. So bear with me. Those of you that have watched the first two, thank you so much. You've left some excellent comments. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate hearing from all of you. Let me know that this is actually something that you may find of value, and that the information I'm talking about, my ramblings, resonate with some of you here and there. So also got some great feedback from some international listeners. I shouldn't say listeners, I guess viewers this weekend. That was very helpful as well. So with them in mind, I am going to try to slow down a little bit in my speech. I tend to talk pretty fast, especially when I'm nervous and I'm kind of jumbled about the things I'm talking about. And it's something I'm going to be working on. So help keep me accountable. I'm going to try to slow down just a little bit, calm it down, and speak a little more clearly on these videos. So thanks for that feedback that you gave last week. I appreciate it. So to start off our conversation this week, let me give some shop updates. So honestly, in the last 2 weeks, not that much has changed around here. I've been talking about the big jobs. The big jobs have started. We're trying to work our way through them every day. We pretty much worked to see, Brandon was here all day on Friday, of course. I worked on half day on Saturday and half day on Sunday, where I pretty much was just stitching. We had 400 units to stitch up this past weekend. I got through all those luckily and had them ready to go for Brandon. Brandon did all the sanding today on those and started doing the edge finishing on them. That is 400 of 600 pieces in one color, and then we have another 1,200 in another color, and then another 1,200 in another color. And for those two other colors, which happens to be chocolate brown, dark chocolate brown, and buck brown harness, we're still waiting on leather from the tannery. If you're used to ordering leather from tannery, you know it tends to have a little bit of wait time. You order from them, they make it, they send it to you. Right now, because of all the pandemic stuff, the tanneries are actually even further behind than they normally are. And I really hate having to call them every day and ask them, hey, where are we with my order? Where are we with the sides that I ordered? Are they out? Are they getting out the door today? Did they go to finishing? I have a really great rep over at Wicked and Craig Tannery, and she's always so kind and so helpful. She's helped me out and really gotten me out of a few binds in the past. And so it really pains me to have to call her every day and ask her those questions. They're going as fast as they can. I know they got hit with a bunch of COVID-related stuff in the tannery, which has put them way behind schedule on a lot of things. And even with that, she's still trying to get me the leather I need as fast as possible. So I really appreciate them. But that said, we are behind where we had planned to be at this point in time with this big job. We'll probably get all the natural colored ones done faster than the harness ones. Originally, it was supposed to be 3 equal shipments of each of those colors, and now it looks like we're going to get all the natural ones done well in advance, and then spend the next few weeks after that doing the harness ones. Now, I have, I guess, 3 months to get the job done. At the pace we're going right now, if the leather is here in-house, we're probably going to get the whole job done in probably 4 weeks or maybe 5 weeks, which is outstanding. With Brandon's help, we're able to just blow through these things as quickly as possible, which is a really good thing, and I'm happy about that. Which means things are going to be a little boring around here until we get this job, until we get this job done. It's basically going to be cutting, stitching and burnishing, cutting, stitching, burnishing over and over again until all 3,000 pieces are done. And then after that, if we're lucky, hopefully we'll get another order for them right after that, and we'll start the process all over again. So boring is not always bad. We like to do exciting things, but I tell you what, boring and repetitive jobs at times can pay the bills, and I'm certainly happy for that. So that's pretty much last week. That was pretty much this weekend. This week is we're starting off with a continuation of that. Although I do have a few extra jobs I got to slide in between the pocket protectors. I have to slide in here. I've got a job for Hestra. If you've ever followed me on Instagram, which I hope all of you are, I occasionally do a big job for Hestra where I make all these table toppers and display pieces for them. Well, I have a few more of those to make for them in the queue right now. 6 to 11 of them is what I need to get. I have a couple of sides up here that belongs to them. I'm going to try to maximize the size and get a few toppers done for them probably by Wednesday or Thursday this week, so I can ship them out by the end of the week and they can receive them as quickly as possible. They've been a good customer of mine, one that kind of came out of nowhere, which is really surprising, and I'm happy to get them squared away. So you'll see more pictures of those throughout this week on Instagram if you care to see it. Let's see, what else do we have going on? Definitely gonna be trying to source some new hides. As I mentioned, the tanneries are shipping a little slower right now than normal. So to keep up with orders and keep up with inventory at the store, I need to start sourcing some new hides. And so while I can, I am starting to try some new leathers. There's a few different tanneries and I guess leather brokers, if you want to call that I'm gonna be trying out this month and next month to see if they have leathers that are gonna help me out with the projects and with the products we plan on making this year. Certainly, I use a ton of bridle and harness from Wicked and Craig, but I also use some harness and I use some bridles from Herman Oak as well. But there's a few other companies out there that have some nice vegetable tan leathers I want to give a try. One of them is an Italian, I think it's Valdebrina. It's an Italian vachetta leather that Buckle Guy is carrying right now that I've been playing around with, and I really, really like it. It has a nice glossy feel to it. It feels good to hand, makes great bags. I'll be playing around with that a lot over the coming weeks. There's also some other tanneries out there in Virginia and Tennessee that have some nice sides that I want to try out. One of them is the same tannery that makes leather for Rawlings. They make a nice side that I probably will be incorporating some of my bags this year. Speaking of bags, this time of year is when I normally would start putting together big orders of bags and dop kits and things like that. I seem like I try to do those in 2 to 3 big batches every year. And we're coming to the bottom of the inventory for all of our messenger bags and top kits that we made in the fall, coming out of the holiday season. So now is a good time for me to start planning out another big run of bags. And so what I'll normally do is I'll do 25 to 50 messenger bags, 25 to 50, in each color. I'll do a bunch of dop kits, and then I'll put them on the shelf, and I'll put them in our quote unquote warehouse, which is basically just another room over here. Store them there, so as orders come in, I just pull them off the shelf and I send them out. I have found that to be easier for me than making bags and making dop kits one at a time. Making them one at a time gets a little tedious, and it's really easy to get behind on things when I'm only making one item at a time. So you've probably heard me say before that I try my best never to make just one of anything. Now, I'm not perfect at that. A lot of times that's the only way you can get the job done, and sometimes your customers don't have time to wait for you to make 25 or something. But whenever possible, I try my best not to ever make one of anything. If I'm out of something like a belt and someone says, hey, I need a black stitch belt, instead of making one belt, I'll try to make 10 or 12 belts. If someone says, hey, I need a messenger bag and I don't have that color anymore and I have time to make that one messenger bag, I won't just make the one messenger bag. I'll try to make 4 to 6 of them, because the economies of scale on that are just better, right? The time that it requires to make one messenger bag may be 6 hours, but the time to make 6 messenger bags may only be 12 hours. It just makes sense to make as many as possible when you can. Now, obviously, that all depends on, how much of a rush your customer's in. It also depends on what leather you have on hand and a bunch of other factors. But the way I like to think is make more, not less. That way, when someone buys it, I can just grab it off the shelf, put it in a box, wrap it up, and send it out. So that's kind of the way I try to do things around here. And certainly I'm not perfect at it, but it is my intent to never make one of anything. In front of me, I have my iPad here. I'm just kind of reading off a list of notes that I want to cover today on today's episode. Let's see. So, here's something to mention. Acrylic templates. Thank you all so much for your support in the acrylic templates. I've had a laser machine here for some time, and I use it for prototyping and things like that. And we can talk about the laser's usefulness in the leather workshop later. But what I want to thank you for is giving me one way to use, give me another way to use that laser machine. I have made templates on the side for friends and other leather workers that called me here and there, kind of sparingly, but you know, they've called and said they need a template. I'd make a template, but I never put a lot of time and energy into turning my designs. Some of you see here the clicker dies back here. Never put a lot of time and energy in turning my designs into acrylic templates. And I thought I'd give it a shot. Hunter, the gentleman who's helped me out with some of these videos, suggested it. I did it, and man, you guys have bought a ton of templates over the last 2 days. There's only 2 templates out. Excuse me. I guess there's 3 templates out there right now. There's a leather clutch template, there's a belt template, and there's like a corner rounding template out there available on my website. But I'm amazed at how many templates we've sold over the last 2 weeks or so, and that's only because you guys have seen the videos, you guys have seen some of the Instagram posts, and you have decided to support me at that. So thank you so much. With that support, it really has encouraged me to make more templates available. So over the coming weeks, I'm going to take out some of my old designs, the designs I've been making over the last 8 years or so with great success, and turn those into templates and make those available too. I have a passport wallet coming. I have a real popular flap wallet that I sell a ton of these. I'm going to make these available. There's nothing unique about these. There's a lot of other people that are also making flap wallets. This is just my version of it. I'm going to make that available as well on my website. So passport wallets, flap wallets, field notes wallet. I'm looking behind me because this is a lot of where all my templates are. There's quite a few back here that I'm going to be turning into templates this year, and I'll probably do a couple of custom templates as well and make those available. When possible and when time permits, I will also do a build video to go along with them. Most of the templates are very simple, and if you've been doing leather work for anywhere from a month to years, you'll be able to figure them out very, very quickly. And I put notes on the templates that makes it easy to read as well. So anyway, more templates to come. Thank you so much for your support on that. I really, really appreciate it. And because of that, I'll be making more available in the coming months, or if not weeks. So one topic I want to talk about today was something that came out of a conversation I had probably, I think about an hour ago. I got a call from a buddy of mine on leathercraft, and we just talked about life. We talked about, running a leather business. We talked about growth and things like that. And it was just really, really encouraging. He's always brings a different perspective to things, a real down-to-earth perspective, as well as kind of guy. He's the kind of guy that basically pulls no punches. He is who he is, and he says what he wants to say. And I really appreciate the conversation with him. He just reminded me that it's good to think about community. It's good to think about the other leather workers around us, and it's good to share. One of the best parts of leather working for me so far has been being able to share what I know, which admittedly isn't a lot, right, with all of you. And what happens when I share with you, typically you guys also share back with me. And it's been this back and forth exchange of information over the last few years, which has been really, really helpful to me, encouraging to me. It gives me something else to focus on, especially when I'm doing monotonous tasks like stitching a bunch of items, or it gives me the opportunity to educate. And again, I say educate lightly because I'm far from being a master leather crafter. Far, far, far from being a master leather crafter. There are people out there that are far more experienced than I will ever be, and they have a lot of knowledge. But the ability to share what I do know has been something that's been very enjoyable, which is probably why I like to do these little videos as well, because I like to talk about leathercraft, I like to talk about business, and these videos allow me to tie both those things together. So, hopefully I'm being as transparent as possible on these videos. Hopefully, you folks feel that you can ask me questions and you're going to get a straightforward answer from me. And hopefully you feel as if you ask me a question that I don't know the answer to, I'm going to say I just don't know the answer, but maybe I know someone who could help us out and give the answer to all of us. So that's the way I've been operating over the last few years, and I hopefully continue operating that way. And I just appreciate your support. So with regards to asking questions, I have made it a habit to get on, I think Saturday night, Sunday mornings, I've been posting on Instagram and asking people to submit their questions to me for me to answer on these videos. We used to do this a lot on Instagram Live, and I will continue to do it on Instagram Live also, but I do want to incorporate some of those questions into these videos each Monday. The first question I have here on my iPad from someone on Instagram. I'm sorry guys, I forgot to write down your Instagram handle on these questions. I'm actually using my phone right now, so I can't get on Instagram to see who asked the question. Eventually, over time, I'll update the video equipment, and I'll be able to look at my phone as we do this. But for now, I just type the notes into my iPad here. So next time I'll make sure I write down the person who's asked the question here, so I can say that while we're talking. So the first question is, how do I balance the commitment to my work, like large orders, in life? This is an area where transparently I have to say I don't have very good balance. At least I don't think I have very good balance. It's gotten better over the last few years, but if you've been following me from day one, you know I spend a ton of time here in the workshop. I spend a ton of time, my head down in the projects, and you've probably heard me say also that I'm very blessed to have a very understanding and loving wife who supports me at this. She knows that if I wasn't doing this, I'd be probably fairly unhappy. And so what she's done to make my life easier, right? Not her life, but what she's done to make my life easier is she meets me more than halfway on my endeavor to make and to do things in the workshop. A good example is that I have two kids. I have an 11-year-old. He just turned 11 last week, and I have a 9-year-old. Well, even when they were little and I was grinding away at the workshop, she would make it a point to bring the kids to me. When I first moved into this shop, I was spending literally like 20 hours a day here getting things ready and just grinding away trying to get business to support us and support this business. Well, she knew that me coming home was always a taxing thing, because for me to shut down the workshop and go home was just a lot. So what she did, she would bring the kids here, right? That's amazing. I mean, who does that, right? She'd bring the kids here. My kids have grown up here in the workshop. They're comfortable here in the workshop. They lay around. They usually treat the place like it's their like a living room. They're very comfortable here. Back then, we'd have dinner here like 3 nights a week. I have a plastic table up front that we used to pull out, and we'd have dinner here 3 nights a week. So because of that, my wife allowed me to better manage things by helping to make it easy for me to be involved in what was going on. What you don't see around here also now these days is I leave constantly. I'm always leaving to go take care of things with the kids. I go to their school for meetings or whatever. I take them to school every morning. That's one thing that I've always done for the last 8 years or so that I've been doing leathercraft is no matter what, no matter how late I'm here, no matter if I'm here until 11 p.m. or I'm here until 2 a.m. in the morning, my kids get up at 6:15 every morning. They have to be at school, and I'm the person that takes them to school. It's my commitment to myself, my commitment to them. No matter what, I take my kids to school. Now, is that finding balance? I don't know if it's finding balance or not. It's just how I do things, and maybe it's not balance, but it's the way that I cope and the way I manage life around the workshop. The workshop has become part of life, not something that is taken away from life. I'm sure there's much better ways to do things. By some accounts, I'd be considered a workaholic, but on other accounts, I tell people to consider the fact that I actually like what I do. A lot of people ask me, how am I able to get so much done in their day? Well, first of all, this is Instagram, this is YouTube. I'm getting a lot done, but maybe not as much as you all think. I mean, it's a grind every day, and some days I get tired. Some days I have to go sit on the couch in the office and just sit there and take a deep breath. Some days are very productive. Other days are not productive at all because of whatever distractions are going on. So got to keep that in perspective. But what I've also done is I try not to have too much idle time. One of the reasons why this workshop life is so attractive to me and good for me is that this is something I can do instead of sitting around. I hate sitting around at home. My wife teases me because she knows when the family's just sitting still and they're not doing anything at home, like they're just watching TV, Hulu or Netflix or whatever they're doing, I'm like, oh, okay, I got to get out of here. I've got to go do something. I got to go be more productive with my time. Maybe that just means coming up here and cleaning up and sweeping the floor, which honestly, some days I can't bring myself to actually jump on a project and get work done. But what I can do is at least get up here and I can sweep the floors. I can put leather away. I can clean up a little bit. I can do some sketching here. Those are all things that I do to stay busy, even when I'm not being quote unquote productive. So the question was about work-life balance. I don't know if I have work-life balance. I just have balance in my life with regards to how I do things, how my household is being run. I think all of you have to figure out what that means. I would say that sometimes when I've heard people ask me questions about work-life balance, they're really not talking about work and life. They're talking about downtime. They're talking about things like relaxation. They're talking about things like watching TV and watching the game. I don't think that really counts, right? There's nothing wrong with watching a football game. There's nothing wrong with relaxing and hanging out with your buddies or drinking beer or whatever you're going to do. But you can't also say that you want to do all those things and have to do all those things and then complain about you don't have enough time to do other stuff. I have found a way to get almost all my family life stuff done, all my my workshop stuff done, all my job stuff done, right? And my way of doing that has been to cut out, you know, downtime. My way of doing that has been to cut out idle time sitting around the house doing nothing, or sitting on the couch all night long watching the football game. I couldn't tell you the last time I sat on the couch and watched a football game. And I love football, right? But if I'm going to watch a game, if I'm going to watch, what it usually means is I'm going to have my phone on Hulu live, or I'm going to have the TV. I do have TV up here. I'll have that on, and I'm working while those things are going on. I couldn't remember the last time I stopped work or stopped family stuff because I had to watch a football game or a basketball game, something like that. Those are all things that happen around the important things. For me, the things that I've marked as being important have been workshop, work, leathercraft, and family life. That's it. Everything else is superfluous and is not extremely important for me right now. Now, that doesn't mean that it won't be important one day. It doesn't mean that my pace of life, my pace of work right now is sustainable. It may not be sustainable for forever, right? It may not be sustainable for you. It may not be the right way for you to do things. But for me, it's worked out just fine, and that's what I've done. So anyway, I guess again, I'm rambling like I always do, but I think the takeaway here is figure out what works for you and go that direction. Don't worry about how I manage my life. Don't worry about how someone else manages their time. Figure out what works best for you and your household. Because I can tell you, while my wife is very understanding, very lenient, and supportive of the way I do things, another lady or another husband, depending on your spousal situation, may not be so supportive of that. They may not be willing for you to be away from home all the time. They may not be willing for you not to sleep as much as you do. And you'll have to figure out what's most important. I will tell you this: if my wife changed her tune tomorrow and she told me that she needed me home more often, as much as it would pain me to sit around the house more, her happiness is worth more to me than just being in my workshop. So I'd have to rearrange things. But luckily, she's been very, very supportive of how I do things, and it's probably the biggest reason why I've been able to grow this business over the last few years. Is because she makes it work. She makes it work for me. She makes it work for the kids. She makes it work for all of us. So here's my answer to that. Let's see. How do I package my product? That's the next question here. I'm assuming that means like not package in terms of. I'm assuming that means like how do I package it when I ship it out. I'm gonna go that direction with it. There are certain folks that have very beautiful packaging. They've done a really good job of coming up with a unboxing experience for their products. Parker over at Stock and Barrel really does a beautiful job. He has these custom-made boxes and things like that. I also know some makers that have custom-made tissue paper and inserts. Smith's, Shane and Mandy over at Smith's Leather Balm, they have a great unboxing experience around their product. I, however, with all my years of marketing experience and brand experience and things like that, I do not have the best unboxing experience. It's something for the last 2 years I've been saying I'm going to work on. I'm going to work on having a custom box, work on having the inserts and all that kind of stuff. And honestly, guys, I just haven't got to it. We were talking about work-life balance. When you do that work-life balance, some things you can jump on and you can get done. Other things you just have to say it's not of grand importance right now. I got to set it aside. Well, packaging has been one of those things that I've been setting aside for a while, and I got to get on it. I've got to figure that out. I know this year I got custom tape, right? Which means, seems like a little thing, custom tape, but when you get a box from me now, it has Odin leather tape wrapped around it. That was a really easy way to elevate my boxing experience. I need to do a new packaging insert. I've had the same packaging insert in my orders for 3 or 4 years, and there's a little story behind that. I ordered packaging inserts like 4 years ago. And I was so excited to buy them that I accidentally clicked, I think it was like 5,000 or 10,000 on the quantity. All I really wanted was 500 because 500 would last me at the time for ages. But I clicked like 5,000. And 4 years later, I'm still working my way through those 5,000 postcards or package inserts that I ordered by accident. Don't know why I never caught that when I was going through the order process, but maybe I was just so excited that I could afford to do that at the time that I just spent the money and walked away. But it was a mistake, and I'm still working my way through those. Now, I am probably going to scrap what's left of those pretty soon, and I'm going to go ahead and design and do a brand new package insert. Part of what's held me back on some of this packaging stuff is that I paid my rent for a number of years doing graphic design. Everything design related, I did web design, print design, digital media, all that type of stuff. I did it, and I was fairly competent at it. Now, while I understand it and do it very well now, I'm not as competent as I used to be. But the idea of outsourcing that design work to someone else is something that still comes hard to me. I've kind of come off that high horse a little bit over the last year or two and got some help from guys like Primo over the last 2 years, and have been able to do some cool things. But it is hard for me to give up design related tasks to someone else. I have my vision, and communicating that vision to someone else is always a challenge, but it's something I'm going to have to do more and more, because obviously waiting for me to get the inspiration, or waiting for me to get time to design a postcard, design a new packaging box or something like that is it just has not happened. So probably gonna have to come off that pretty soon, and solicit some help from some others. If you know someone that you think I should work with, or you know someone that would love to help me out with some of those packaging inserts, let me know. Love to talk to them and see what we can do this year. So that is a goal. Will happen before summer, hopefully. And if not summer, definitely will happen before fall, when we get into our high volume season. Okay, so there's packaging. But if you're looking for examples of good packaging, check out Shane over at Spence Leather Supply. Also check out Parker over at Stock and Barrel. They do great with their packaging. I aspire to be like them with how I package up my stuff. Let's see. Another question here is, what is my favorite leather to work with? I love leathercraft, so the idea that I only have one leather or two leathers that are my favorite, that's hard. Truth be told, my favorite leather to work with is the last hide that I bought. I have a rack full of sides up here that I'm looking at right now, and the reason why I have so much leather up there is not because we're that busy, because if it was because I was that busy, they wouldn't be up there at all. It would come in and would go out. A lot of that leather is up there because I like leather. I like buying the stuff. I go to a broker, I go to a show like the Wichita Falls Boot and Saddle Maker Show, and I cannot help myself. I walk around, I touch the leather, I smell the leather, I pick it up and roll it, and I have all these thoughts about what I can make with it. And I buy it and I bring it back and I put it on the shelf, and then there it sits for the next 6 months to a year while I'm and search for time to actually do something with it. It happens, right? I love all of it. My favorite type of leather is vegetable tan leather. Now, vegetable tan leather, a lot of you may not know this, but vegetable tan leather comes in lots of shapes and forms. It's not just the tan saddle skirting that many of you'll think about. I mean, if you shop at Tandy a lot, that's what you think all vegetable tan leather is. That's not so. English bridle is vegetable tan leather. Harness is vegetable tan leather. There's lots of different types. My favorite leather to work with, and the one I work with the most, I guess, is going to be English bridle. But even within the category of English bridle, there are lots of different forms of it. I mean, if you get bridle from thoroughbred, it's one way. It's almost more like a harness. If you get bridle from Wicked and Craig, it's a little drier and more consistent in color. Then you can go to Herman Oak and get bridle from them, and there's other places you get bridle from also, and they all have their unique characteristics. So I've really enjoyed seeing what each one of the tanners has. I've enjoyed cutting the leather, putting it together, gluing it together, burnishing it, stitching it, and experienced all of them. And every product, doesn't deserve the same type of leather. Every product, I figure out, okay, this client has this personality. They're looking for a product that looks like this. Then I pick the leather to match up with it. I don't know if I have one or two leathers that I just think are my favorite. I like them all, to be honest with you. And that's part of what makes leathercraft fun to me, is being able to use some different types of leather. Some days I love working with that natural saddle skirting, right? Like the Herman Oak saddle skirting. It's absolutely beautiful. And you can tool it and stamp it and shape it and mold it. That's really cool. Other days I don't want to do that. Other days I just want to be able to cut it. I want to be able to burnish it, put it together and stitch it, and I want to appreciate the finish that the tannery put on it, right? If you like stuff like that, looking at the harnesses from Wicked and Craig is great. Looking at the bridles from Thoroughbred would be great for that reason. That's what I like. Now, of all that, again, I've said I like vegetable tan leather, but I also like uncorrected leather. So uncorrected leather is leather that still has all the marks and bug bites, and it has the fat wrinkles and all that kind of stuff in it that you can see. I like leather with character. I don't particularly like leather that has been corrected to the point where you don't see any of the variation. You don't see any of the markings from the animal. I like leather that when you look at it, you touch it, you know this is leather. You know this came from an animal. That's what I prefer. So roundabout answer, like everything else I do, but it is what it is. Okay, let's see. What's the best way to get products in front of customers? That's an interesting question, and you probably think I have some kind of magic wand approach to that. Buy ads, spend money, do this, marketing, cold call on stores. I don't think any of that is the way to go, to be honest with you. You may also think that because my professional background is in digital marketing, that I'd say go get a website, get online, and start selling. I do think you should have a website. I do think you should make it available. You should make your products available online. But keep in mind, as soon as you turn on a website, no one's going to know who you are. No one's going to know that you're there. Just because you turn on a website doesn't mean you're going to have droves of customers flocking to your site. It doesn't work that way. Well, I would say the biggest way to get customers to see your work is to put your work in front of customers. Take a leap of faith. Go sign up. Go do a farmer's market somewhere in your neighborhood, in your community, and for $5 to $25, you can rent a table at the farmer's market and put your work out there, and make it available for sale. Don't worry at all about whether or not someone buys it or not. That's not the important thing. That's not really why you're doing it. The reason why you're doing it is because you want to put yourself out there. You want people to see your work. You want people to come to your table and to ask you about what you're doing. If they buy, great. If they don't buy, who cares? Because when they leave, they may tell somebody else about you. When they leave, they may go to your website later. That's the way you grow your business. Now, a lot of people say, well, what about going nationwide? How do I get customers from all over the country? Again, I would not worry about getting customers from all over the country. I have tried that. It does not work out very well. The reason why it doesn't work out very well is because no matter how rich you are in leathercraft, you don't have enough budget to really garner an audience from around the country. You do probably have budget available to you right now for you to get eyes from your local community. Here's an example. If you have a $50 marketing budget for X period of time, let's just say for a month, right? And at one point in time, that was a lot of marketing money for me to spend. Honestly, I don't spend that much money I don't even spend a lot of that now on marketing. But $50 spent on ads, whether it be a print ad or a digital ad, but it's spent on garnering attention from your community, whether it be from your block or whether it be from your town or whether it be from your state, goes a lot further than trying to garner attention from people nationwide. You're spreading your money way too thin, right? I'd say if you want to grow your business, start locally first. Be the best you can be locally within your neighborhood and within your town, and then that will overpour out into other areas and other groups of customers. But start locally is what I would do. Go to a farmer's market, rent a table for $25, set up, put yourself out there, be prepared to get feedback, be prepared to see all the faces of people, the faces they make when they're looking at your work, some good, some bad. Tell them your price. Some people are going to say, oh, that's too much. Other people are going to say, oh, that's too cheap. All that is valuable insight. Do it. See what type of response you give people. You'll learn a lot. You'll learn that people do like your work, and maybe you're selling it too cheap, or you'll learn that people don't like your work, and you need to adjust something. All that's fine. It's all valuable insight. But the most important thing is that you're going to see your work, and you're going to see people's reactions to your work, because it's actually real customers that you can talk to and you get input from. So that would be my advice to you. Go do a farmer's market, go do little markets around town, whatever it takes, and put yourself out there, right? If you don't like talking to people, this is going to be a hard business for you, because a lot of this business is all based off of a customer's ability to connect with you. So find ways to connect with customers. Be the best you can be in your community. I tell you, I would rather sell one wallet to everybody in my town of Coppell, right, than have national attention, but only selling to every 1 million people or whatever, something like that, right? Focused is always better. I'm learning that more and more as I go through this business. The more I can focus, the more I can lock in on my goal, the more I can lock in on a group of people that I want to target with the products, the better things tend to be for my business. And I would encourage you to do the same thing. Let's see. Going back to my list here. Okay, so this is the last question. I think I may have hit on some of this last week too. But the question, I get this question a lot. So there's probably no harm in me going over it again. But the question is, when I started, did I think I would be making big batches of products or one-offs? Well, when I started, I didn't think I'd be doing any of this. I thought I was just going to be trying out leather work for a few days, if not weeks, and move on to something else. So none of this was ever imagined. That's first. And then once I started selling products, no, I don't think I had in my mind that I was going to be doing batches of 1,000 pieces of this or 5,000 pieces of that. No, never. Didn't even cross my mind. I mean, this was just a little something to do on the side. This wasn't supposed to be supporting my family and something I could do to make a good living at. Not at all. That's it. Once I did kind of get wind of the fact that I had something to work with, I tried to do one-offs for a period of time where people would call and say, I want this item, and I'd try to make that item. But over time, I just kind of learned, for me at least, that's not the type of business I wanted to do. It was too stressful for me. It required way too much thinking in terms of design, because every time someone comes to you and they say they have this custom item that they want, you've got to go through the process of designing that. I also, having a little bit of a business background, I knew that I could make, maybe you can, but I could not. I knew that I could make a good living doing that. There's no way that I could take a commission on a bag, and I think I used an example last week, but I'll do it again. There's no way that I could take a commission on a bag for $500 and then make money off of that when I spent 15 hours researching the bag, doing templates, doing patterns, prototypes, emails back and forth to the client. I couldn't make money doing that. I couldn't, right? I do know some guys that's all they do, and they make a great living off of it. But for me, it just didn't work. My way of making money was to be able to say, hey, design a really good bag, make a really good bag, and put it on the shelf and sell it off the shelf. I was pretty confident that my designs were likable enough that a large group of people were going to appreciate them and want to buy them. And that's the direction I'm going. At the top of this conversation, I mentioned that how I was going to be building inventory. Yeah, I do that now. I go and say, hey, I'm confident that my bag design works. I'm going to go make 50 of these bags. That's a sizable investment to make 50 of anything, right? But I make 50 bags, I put them on the shelf, and then I plan on selling those bags off the shelf as much as possible. Now, I do enjoy leathercraft. It doesn't mean I will never do a one-off. I mean, I do one-offs here and there, occasionally, because I enjoy what I do, but those are because I do those one-offs to break up the monotony of making production runs of items, right? Not because that's what's really going to drive the growth of my business. So these days, I prefer to do, from a business perspective, I prefer to do batches of goods, whether it be batches for a large order that came in, or whether it be a batch of, just something I'm trying to do because I'm trying to put inventory on the shelf to sell, later. Batches seem to be a much more efficient way of making product. And then I use the one-offs here and there to break up the monotony between things when I just need a little change of scenery and I need a break from making bags or making belts. Shop noises and sounds, I'm hearing things. I mean, if you make 50 belts, 50 black belts, by the time you make your 25th belt, you're like, hey, I need something else to do. Go make a wallet. If you make a bunch of wallets, one of the ways that I break up the monotony is I'll go grab a shell off the shelf here, and I'll make that same wallet out of shell. Not because I have tons of people asking for shell wallets, but mainly because I enjoy working with shell. If you stitch up a bunch of wallets on the machine back here, maybe I'll take a chance to make a new design that I scratch out and make off the top of my head, and I'll hand stitch that one. Why? Just to break up the monotony. That's what keeps things fresh in between all the tedious jobs and large orders. That's how I do things. So I think that may have actually been the last question for today. So next week I'll post another question on Instagram, maybe on Saturday night or Sunday morning. And if you have a question you want me to answer, whether it be about business, design, family life and managing family life from here, machinery, whatever it may be, let me know. I'm happy to answer those questions. It actually makes these videos go a little smoother because I love talking about this stuff. I love sharing my experiences with it, even though it's just my experience, and mileage may vary depending on who you talk to. Some of the saddle makers may have completely different opinions about things that I talk about, and you may have a different opinion about things I talk about. But if you do, let's talk about it, whether it be here or let's talk about it in the comments below. Leave a comment, leave a note, let me know what you think about the things I said. If you completely agree with me, let me know that I'm on the right path. If you completely disagree with me, also let me know there. I'm sure not only would I appreciate the difference of opinion, but some of the other viewers may read it also, and they may appreciate it as well. So let's do this. Don't forget youtube.com. You're looking at YouTube right now. If you're here, like, share, subscribe to the channel. I really, really appreciate that. Lets me know that we're on the right path. And also, if you share it with other people in leathercraft or just people in general, that also helps me out tremendously. If you click the little bell icon, which I think is over here, it's on one of these sides, right? It also will notify you the next time I post a video, which at the very minimum will be once a week moving forward. I also have a couple other little small videos and build videos I'm gonna post here and there. And then Hunter's already working on the next big video for us also. Coming up in the next few weeks, we're gonna do a shop tour. I get a lot of questions about the machines I have here. We're gonna go through the shop, corner by corner, machine by machine. I'll tell you why I got that one. I'll tell you what it is. I'll tell you how it works. I'll tell you the benefit of it. I'll tell you if it was a good buy. I'll tell you if it was a bad buy. And you'll see all the little bits and pieces of the shop that you usually only see from one or two angles. But we're going to go through the whole thing. And I'm really, really looking forward to that. So stay tuned for that. That's coming in the next few weeks. Hunter will help out with that. But until next week, I guess, you guys be good, stay good. Make as much as you can. Enjoy your time in the workshop. Enjoy your time with your family too, and your spouses and your girlfriends and boyfriends, things like that. Don't live in your workshop like I do. It's never a good thing. Get out the workshop, enjoy life, enjoy things around you. It'll give you inspiration for other things to make in your workshop. So until then, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to me ramble here. Hopefully I talked a little slower this week than I did last week for my international viewers. If not, I will continue to work on it week after week after week. So hope to see you in the comments. Thanks again. Have a good one.